give people a second to hop on before we start with Dr. Sharma's pearls of wisdom for the day. We'll see we'll see what Dr. Sharma has to say today. Okay, so he says, saying that you don't have time to improve your thoughts in your life is like saying you don't have time to stop for gas because you're too busy driving. Eventually it will catch up to you. I think that one's a pretty good one. February 1st, start of a new month, start of a new challenge. At the end of January, which is usually when we see the New Year's resolutions starting to fizzle out. So on that note, we're actually going to talk about a pretty sticky subject, or a pretty triggering subject, and that is, you know, diets and weight loss and body image and all the chaos that goes along with that journey. And of course, that's the number one New Year's resolution on the planet every year, is to lose weight. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how we can shift from a mindset of having to fix something that's broken to an intention. And in doing so, we create a lot of power around the idea of weight loss rather than a lot of heavy, dense, negative energy. So I did get asked the other day, like, well, what do you know about weight loss? Have you ever lost lots of weight? And I'm like, no, actually, I've not. I've weighed the same my whole entire adult life. But for those of you who don't know me, my past life before going into coaching was actually in the fitness industry for 30 years. And I mean, I can tell you, I've done everything there is to do in the fitness industry, minus wearing a bum thong over top of my leotard. I never succumbed to that chaos. So I've owned a couple facilities. I've worked at many different facilities. I've spoken on an international level on fitness. I've taught aerobics, I've taught step aerobics, I've taught spin class, bar class, nutrition classes. I have a background in holistic nutrition as well as in medical exercise specialist. So I've also written a book on dysfunctional eating called On a Desperate Journey. And I've worked with many women who have struggled with disordered eating and eating disorders. So even though I myself have not lost and gained or been on diets and stuff, the one thing I have learned is that every single person that was struggling with their weight, whether it was underweight or overweight, was trying to feed or starve something other than their stomachs. And sorry, you guys, I'm going back and forth here because I've got two different modes going on right here. So I'm not distracted. I'm just trying to pay attention to everybody. So likely if you've chosen to watch this video today, then the weight loss puzzle has probably been part of your life in some way, whether it's a parent or whether it's yourself or maybe it's one of your children. So I'm going to start by asking how many times you've tried to lose weight, basically only to succumb to the willpower or the self-sabotage cycle, which is something we're going to talk about today. And I had one of the people that's watching today very bravely share that the first diet that she has ever put on was when she was 7 years of age. Like, what the hell are our parents thinking? I know what they're thinking is coming from a good place, but if they had any concept of the lasting damage it creates, it's just wouldn't even be an option. It wouldn't even be an option. So how long does that diet last? Does it last a week? Does it last a month? Does it last a day? How many of you guys that are watching this, whether it's live or recorded, actually chose weight loss as your New Year's resolution this year and it's already starting to wane? You know, I'm just really super curious. And for those of you who haven't watched the previous live or my previous podcast, which is From Sheer Will to Free Will, it really, really helps to support this concept and this conversation that we're having right now. Talking about sheer will, when you have to apply sheer will to weight loss, it's just never going to work. So we need to shift from sheer will to free will. So the previous live training or podcast would be awesome for you to watch before or after, whatever works for you. So what if there was a better way to lose weight and had nothing to do with the next program or the next pill or the next great idea or the dance between calories in and calories out? Not saying it's not important. I'm just saying, what if we could take the focus off of that and put the focus more on intention and rather than on goals? Because goals imply something is broken or needs to be fixed and requires a lot of willpower, whereas intention is a completely different way of approaching the same concept, and we're going to talk about that. What if we focused on intention rather than painful goals? So, and what if it's all about what we all know but we've forgotten? So what the hell have we forgotten? I'll let you know. But if you get it figured out before we're finished talking today, put it in the chat box. I'd love to know. So for just a split second, I'm going to ask you to interrupt your personal belief pattern or thinking process around the weight loss game. And I want you to answer the question, what would you tell your daughter or your son or your sister or your brother or your mom or your dad? What would you tell them about their weight? How would you word it? What would you want them to know? Would you treat them the way that you treat yourself around weight or diet or food relationships? Would you talk to them the way that the mean girl or mean person in your head talks to you? And would you judge them the way that you judge yourself? Or do you just get to enjoy that all on your own? What if we could change our thinking around weight loss from one of skinny and thin to one of healthy and radiant by shifting from the goal of losing weight to the intention of being the best version of you? I know it's really easy to say. It's really important to understand. By shifting from the goal of being skinny to the intention of being healthy. By shifting from the goal of keeping my partner, husband, wife, whatever, to the intention of finding myself, finding the greatness of who I am separate from my size. By shifting the goal of being seen externally to the intention of being heard. By shifting the goal of reliving the past to the intention of embracing who you are today, because time is ticking. Every day that we focus our energy and our time on our weight, then we're not focusing on the things that are so much more important. And what if we shifted from the goal of an external appearance to the intention of internal peace? This is what we've forgotten. That our weight doesn't define us, even though the world likes us to think it does. And our size has nothing to do with our gifts. People, you guys, everyone that's watching this, I see you all. Everyone that's watching this, you have incredible gifts. And the more time and energy you focus on your size, the less time and energy you focus on your gifts. We are whole and perfect, perfectly imperfect actually. And we've forgotten this because the world has made us believe that skinny equals happy and successful and fulfilled. The world is actually obsessed with a very, very specific look. And you can fill in the blank with what that look is. Correct? So let's start by taking a look at the self-sabotage cycle. How does your self-sabotage cycle around weight loss go? So I just wanted to create a basic example so that you could understand, oh, I see what she's saying. Because every one of us has our own version of this cycle. And I always like to think of a cycle as a circle starting at 12 o'clock, whatever the trigger is, and then working our way around the clock and clockwise until you get back up to 11 where the cycle ends and then starts again. So here's a real simple example that probably will land with some of you. So the trigger is the person gets incredibly overwhelmed in life with whatever, kids, work, whatever, house, doesn't matter, whatever it is. So they tell themselves one bowl of ice cream or whatever won't matter. And then the next step, one bowl becomes the entire container and maybe a bag of cookies. And then the next step is they hate themselves because they're stupid, weak, pathetic, whatever words you want to add on there. So they look for whatever else is available in the cupboard, whether it's raw almonds with squeezed cheese on it. And they turn on Netflix to binge watch whatever shitty, lousy reality show they can numb their brain with so that they don't have to think. They go to bed completely full or starving and furious with themselves. They can't sleep, so they wake up with basically a sugar-induced hangover. So we're going around the circle. They vow to do better starting on Monday, because January 2nd and Monday are really the same day. It always starts on January 2nd or Monday. So they eat their way through the week, getting more and more and more angry at themselves until they actually re-engage, start meditating, reading positive affirmations, picking up a book, whatever it happens to be. They go for a walk and they start over until the overwhelm cycle starts again, and then boom, right back on the cycle. So being able to identify your self-sabotage cycle is a really powerful gift and skill, because then you have the opportunity to step back and choose at any given time when you want to step off that cycle, or if you just want to hang on for dear life and ride the wave. So knowing, like, literally sit down today, if this lands with you, sit down today and actually write out your trigger and every step, because, and put it somewhere you can see it, because every time you start on the cycle, you have the opportunity to step off the cycle. So I'm going to get you to start at the beginning of that example or your example and ask, what is it that's missing in this person's life or this example? What is this person not letting go of? Why is it so important? What is she feeding? What is missing? What can't she be with or he be with? Where is the dysfunction? Like, asking questions like that really elevate the person so they can actually look down on the self-sabotage cycle and go, what the frig am I thinking? What is going on here? There is a great quote by Michael Beckwith in his Life Visioning Quest in Mind Valley. And, or it's actually a great question that he asks. And it goes like this: if this situation does not change and would last forever, what quality or qualities must I embody to have peace of mind? Hey, hi Kim, so lovely to see you. Thank you for being here. We have a powerhouse nutrition specialist, I'm gonna say disordered eating specialist on with us right now. Kim Bassler with Food Freedom. Anyone can find her on Instagram. What was my question? Oh yeah, so no, I want to rephrase that exact same statement, but I'm going to apply it to the whole idea around weight and weight loss. So the way I rewrote it, and you could rewrite it any way you want, is if I'm doing everything I can within a healthy scope and my weight isn't what I want, what quality must I embody to have peace of mind? If I'm doing everything I can within a healthy scope and my weight isn't what I want, what quality must I embody to have peace of mind? So the question is your body working just as hard to stay where it is as you are to make it into something it's not? It's not meant to be. What's more important, thin or healthy? And which is more realistic, healthy or thin? You know, I used to ask this question quite a bit, and I saw The Matrix a million years ago, and I don't really remember much about it except the two pills, the red pill and the blue pill. The red pill meant one reality, and the blue pill meant an altered reality. That's all I remember. And I always love asking the question around weight when it comes to the pill. So if someone said, here is the red pill. If you take this red pill, you can do anything you want, eat anything you want, and you will be skinny for the next 5 years. We have no idea what the fallout or the symptoms are going to be after 5 years, but if you take the pill, you're going to be skinny. You're going to have that body you want. Would you take the pill? You guys can all answer it your own way, but I know that I've asked that question many times, and almost always the answer is yes. I don't care what the outcome is after 5 years. I want to be skinny for the next 5 years. So that's a power of our external validation and the influence that the world has on our belief systems around weight. So I want to look, the reason I call this detoxify your mind in order to lose weight is I want to look at purging and detoxing your entire environment in order to lose weight. So we're going to start with, what are you watching on TV? I just saw a trailer yesterday for The Bachelor or Bachelorette or whatever. It's two guys that are, one's rich and one's not rich, and a bunch of women fawning all over him. And I was just like, oh my God, that show is still on. It should have gone off the first year. But I mean, I'm sure it's an indulgent, I mean, it's a great way for people to shut off the brain and escape. So what are you watching on TV? What are you watching on Netflix? Who or what are you following on Instagram and Facebook? Is it supporting your journey, or is it sucking the life out of you? Is it making you believe you suck? You don't suck. What magazines are you reading? What books are you reading? What does your closet look like? This is a really interesting one. It's amazing how many people have hung onto their skinny clothes from like from 30 years ago. It's like, one day I will fit back into those clothes. And the first thing I want to say is styles have changed. Although, yeah, some of them are coming back into them, like the really bad mom jeans. Oh my God. They were bad back in the 80s. Anyways, what clothes are in your closet? Maybe it's time to purge your closet. Maybe it's time to go get some new clothes. Maybe it's time to buy some clothes that actually fit and make you feel good about yourself. How are your thoughts helping or hindering? All of this contributes and influences the way you're thinking. Yes, 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 yes. Thanks, Kim. So all of this contributes and influences to the way you are thinking through a veil that simply isn't real. It's a current reality that might not even have a remote iota of reality to it. I watched a recent interview, some of you may have seen the same one, with Adele and Oprah. Adele was doing her one-day special in LA, her one day or whatever it was, and in and amongst it, she was being interviewed by Oprah, just sort of about her journey. And Oprah asked her about her weight, and I can't remember how she worded the question, but it was something to do around, you know, this last year she's lost a whole bunch of weight and the world is in awe of it and body shaming her at the same time. And Oprah asked her, you know, like, tell us about your weight or whatever. And Adele's response was that her weight has never been an issue to her, only to the world. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant. She said she loved herself when she was bigger, and she just happened to discover exercise. Now she still eats whatever she wants. She just happens to be a smaller size, a smaller version of the exact same person that she was. So I thought that was pretty powerful. And I thought it was interesting because just sort of watching, it seems like no matter what Oprah does, that weight thing still is something that haunts her. It haunts her. It's a thing that is constantly in her orbit. I also shared the story, actually on my last podcast, of one of the most inspiring people that I ever worked with, who lost 100 pounds, and how she did it. She did the entire thing from intention, not really goals, although we did set goals along the way, but for her it was all about intention. And if you listen to that previous podcast or live, her story is just mind-boggling. One of the most influential people that taught me in my fitness journey along the way were a set of twin sisters when I was learning to teach aerobics. They were sort of the two, that was the class everyone wanted to go to, these two sisters that weighed 250 pounds each. They were big girls, and they could kick your ass in an aerobics class. They had so much energy, and they were so fit, and they were so confident, and they were so full of piss and vinegar. And I tell you, it taught me a lot about the fact that fit comes in every frickin' size. Because of course at 17 years or 18 years old, I was like, oh no, you have to be skinny to be fit. So my dear friend Melanie, who's had a double mastectomy, and has really struggled through the whole chemo, radiation, you know, breast implants, all that kind of stuff. She said to me once, you know, Mia, I have clothes to cover my imperfections, and that's all I need. And I just thought, wow, that's so powerful, so beautiful. I wanted to share also that I'm not immune to the thoughts or feelings either. You know, I mean, just because I haven't gone through massive weight changes, struggled with weight or whatever, doesn't mean that I don't, that I'm immune to the shit that's around me. My body's changed. I mean, I'm 56, gained a year, I thought I was 57. I can't eat anywhere near as much food as I used to, which sucks because I actually love food. My exercise has changed. I used to be able to exercise all day long. I loved, you know, I could go for a 70-kilometer bike ride, then hop off and then go for a 10K run, and woohoo! As long as I was outside, I was happy. Now I've had 5 meniscal surgeries, and I got arthritis in my hip, I got arthritis in my foot. So my exercise has changed, my energy has changed, my sleep has changed, which is affects my energy, which affects my exercise. And I'm actually squishy in places I didn't think it was possible for me to squish. And like the cartoon shows in Playboy, not that I've ever seen Playboy, but everything is heading south. But here's the thing, here's the thing. I'm so freaking grateful for my health and my body. I'm so grateful that I am still able to perform so many different activities and sports at the level that I can. It's different than it was in my 40s or my 30s or my 20s, and I don't freaking care because I appreciate my health and my body more than I have ever before. In my 20s and my 30s, I took it for granted. Now when I go out and I go running or biking or skiing, yesterday we were skiing, hit 69 kilometers now, I'm like, yeah, girl, you go. You go. I mean, it's what I just took it for granted before, and now I'm so grateful. So when we have a heightened focus and expectation on food and exercise, it becomes a chore. It just becomes a chore. And when we focus on our health, our personal respect, our boundaries, our self-love, our capabilities, our gratitude, it becomes a journey. Understanding the deeper why, and the rest will unfold. Your mind is what's hungry, not your stomach. Sometimes your stomach's hungry, but generally speaking, it's your mind that's hungry. So the question is, what is it hungry for? What's your mind hungry for? Is it hungry for like love or adventure or fulfillment or happiness, peace, joy, calm, acceptance? What is it hungry for? Understanding, inspiration? And how is food ever going to satisfy that hunger? It's a distraction. It's a distraction from the deep feelings that are persistently scratching at the surface. If we keep eating, we keep swallowing the feelings and feeding the hunger for a moment. Then the self-sabotage cycle starts all over again, and boom, you're right back into it. So what would it be like to actually sit and face the discomfort, like just wallow in the misery of the discomfort? That sounds like fun on a Friday night. So sitting in the discomfort of the unhappiness or the unknowing or the lack of fulfillment or the discontentment or the disappointment, all those things that you're trying to distract yourself away from, when you sit in them, you actually learn. It's unbelievable what you learn. You learn about yourself, you learn about what you're avoiding, you learn about what you're telling yourself that's a lie, you learn about the belief, the limiting beliefs, the judgments, and in that is where the gold lies. What would happen if we actually starved those feelings by feeding the emotions of love and gratitude and kindness and acceptance and peace and prosperity and abundance and all those amazing things that we're actually here on this planet to experience? Thanks for all your input, Kim. Appreciate it. So we are all definitely in charge of our lives, even if we think we aren't. We can blame everyone around us for our current reality, or we can change the reality. So we want to see weight, you want to recognize that weight loss isn't so much about losing weight, although it is. It's about losing the thoughts that create the reality, that have us feel like we need a legal distraction from the unhappiness. And food is the most highly acceptable and readily available narcotic on the planet. So McDonald's costs $5 for an instant fix, or even like $2.50. And Ben & Jerry, well, they'll sell you a bucket of misery for about $6. The Colonel will happily salute you as you're heading out the door with about 3 days worth of calories. A chocolate bar will give you like 40 seconds of bliss before you crash land into reality. Like, food is, don't get me wrong, food's important, man. It's one of the greatest pleasures of life. It truly is. Like, when you're traveling or you're on an adventure, you're having a celebration, or you're entertaining. I mean, food is part of the magic of being a human. Truly, the question is, who's the master? So is food the master, or are you the master? Because maybe it's time to look behind the curtain to understand the why. And it's a ball of yarn. It's a ball of yarn that looks different for every single person. So their weight loss journey, their weight journey, their relationship to food, their relationship to diets, is slightly different for every single person. Although the underlying foundation of the story is pretty much the same for everyone. It started at a young age. You believe you're not good enough. You believe you have to do X, Y, Z to be X, Y, Z. And we spend our whole life chasing our tail, trying to create a reality that might not be realistic. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. And I also wanted to share that this is kind of where the power of coaching comes in. If you've been trying to lose weight for years, it's time to sort of look at the entire situation from a different perspective. And I like to say, like, you walk up a ladder, and with coaching, it doesn't matter what kind of coaching you do or in what area of life, that's always what we're trying to do, is get people to walk up a ladder of awareness so that they can actually look down onto the situation from a completely different perspective. And the higher up the ladder you go, the more perspective you have. So when we coach around weight loss, we look at unraveling how it began so we can break the belief system that has people stuck. Identifying the trigger is one of the most important pieces. Really being able to understand your trigger and your personal judgments is almost the first step. And then replacing them like with healthy methods of healing so you can start feeding yourself rather than your stomach. Moving stuck energy that people are holding around weight or your relationship with food, being able to move that dense, heavy, stuck energy is also part of the magic, part of the puzzle. So seriously, what would you prefer someone read on your headstone? She was miserable, hungry, and exhausted, but she was skinny. Or she was an incredible human being that impacted everyone around her. So I want to finish by asking you, what are you hungry for? And you can share it, you can DM me, or you can share it in the Facebook group. What are you hungry for? And if you don't know, then good chat. I like to create space for people to find the answers to questions that they've basically never considered. So for those of you who are hanging out here the whole time today in this live, first of all, I super appreciate it. If you want to be able to have access to all the free teachings on a regular basis, you can just go and request to join Voice of Choice Conversation, which is a closed Facebook group, and where I do a lot of posting. And then also the Spotify podcast series called Voice of Choice Conversations, where I do all of these, but in podcast formats, because a lot of people like to be able to just download them and just listen to them. So that is also available to you. I am going to be doing a challenge starting February 28th called Detox the Mind and Lose the Weight. It's going to be 4 weeks, 4 Mondays. I think it's $79, $59 or $79, I haven't decided. And we're just gonna really tackle 4 of the main pieces around detoxing the mind in order to lose weight. I'm gonna have you look at things that maybe in a way you've never looked at them before. So anyone that's interested in that, you can just DM me and I'll send you the information. But like I said, we don't start till the end of February. Anyways, thank you for listening. And maybe walk away from this with the idea of creating an intention around what you want for yourself physically moving forward. And I'd love to hear what it is. Ciao for now.